Hey everyone, so this video wasn't actually part of my original plan. After the response to the last comparison video though, I realized a lot of you were interested in a full Pro Series matchup. I was only planning to compare Vivo and Oppo, but then I remembered I still had the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max lying around. And that got me thinking. Around the same time, I saw that viral Weibo post from an Honor executive bragging about their new camera tech. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much from Honor's imaging, but since they were hyping it up so confidently, I figured, why not test it myself? So I picked up a brand new Honor Magic 8 Pro just for this video. If you enjoy these comparisons, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support is what keeps this channel going and helps me make more videos like this. All right, let's jump right in. This video is mainly focused on the camera performance of 4 flagship phones. Their other specs are pretty similar, so there's no need to worry about any manufacturer playing tricks with the hardware. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. But before we get into things, I do want to clarify one point. Oppo and Vivo are running the Dimensity 9500, while Honor and Xiaomi are powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. Lately, I've seen a lot of people saying Dimensity chips aren't great for gaming. Honestly, what era are we living in? Dimensity has improved so much. For normal use, there's barely any difference between the two platforms anymore. So let's all stay objective here. All 4 phones come with 1.5K displays. The only thing that stands out is Honor's display sharpening. The text just looks a bit too crisp. I'm not sure how visible it is in the video, but personally, it bothers me. The other 3 phones don't have this issue. Aside from that, Honor's screen is solid, and in terms of hardware, it has one big advantage. It's the only phone in this group that supports 3D face unlock. Once you've used it, you'll know how convenient it is. And its ultrasonic fingerprint sensor still works great, so it's a win on both sides. I also noticed some differences in their haptic motors. A lot of you have been asking about Vivo's vibration this year. Compared to last year's 9500 model, the improvement is actually pretty obvious. In a direct comparison with Oppo might be slightly stronger, but the difference is minor in daily use. Honor, as always, keeps its traditional tuning, which to me still feels pretty average. Xiaomi's 0809 motor just doesn't cut it. The tuning is new, so it's passable, but once you compare all 4, the gap is clear. Another thing that shifted this year, Oppo, Vivo, and Xiaomi all switched to flat displays, while Honor is sticking with last year's curved design. Which one do you prefer, curved or flat? And yes, I know some of you wonder why I even bother talking about phone cases, but think about it. If you're paying more than £650 for a flagship phone, including a premium case just helps elevate the whole unboxing experience. Oppo's X9 Pro case is excellent, and Vivo's X300 Pro case is also really well made. Among the 4, Oppo clearly did the best job. Last year, the Honor Magic 7 Standard Edition came with a nice copper-colored silicone case similar to Vivo's, good quality. This year, the Pro model only includes a basic clear case, which honestly feels a bit cheap. And Xiaomi, I don't even know where I put that hard plastic case. It's easily the worst of the group, even compared to Honor's clear one. Alright, now that we've covered the side features, let's move on to the cameras. The main and ultra-wide lenses don't differ too drastically, but the real differences come from the telephoto cameras. Aside from Xiaomi, all 3 others use 200 megapixel sensors, but not the same ones. Oppo uses the HP5, which has the smallest sensor size. Vivo uses the updated HPB with a shorter 3.5mm focal length this year. Honor uses the HP9 at 3.7mm. Xiaomi, on the other hand, uses a 50 megapixel GN8. But specs only tell part of the story, so let's dive into real-world tests. Starting with the ultra-wide shots, Honor has the advantage in field of view thanks to its 12mm ultra-wide lens, but that also means it can't keep up with the others in detail. In sandy scenes, Vivo still leads in texture clarity. In another ultra-wide shot, Xiaomi looks the sharpest because it has the narrowest field of view, while Oppo performs similarly. Honor is softer, but again, it captures the widest range. In nighttime ultra-wide photos, Vivo is the only one that controls highlights properly. The other 3 tend to overexpose a bit. Xiaomi still has the best detail because of its stronger wide-angle lens. Moving to the main camera, the images from all 4 look close at first glance, but Oppo consistently delivers the best detail. Vivo adds some sharpening, but stays pretty clean. Honor and Xiaomi look slightly soft in comparison. At the edges of the image, Oppo still holds the lead, though the others remain acceptable. In another scene, Vivo is the only one able to manage the highlights, yet Oppo still wins in detail. Vivo's sharpening is noticeable, but not distracting. Honor falls behind a bit, while Xiaomi produces a very natural-looking result. In a different detail comparison, Honor is the only one that looks slightly blurred. Everyone else keeps up just fine. At night, Xiaomi struggles most with highlights. Oppo, while great in the daytime, loses some detail here. All four are pretty similar in sharpness. In one shot, Oppo's saturation is too heavy, Xiaomi's color temperature is too cool, and Honor's warm tone ends up being most accurate. Xiaomi does well as long as the scene doesn't have large, bright areas. In another test, Xiaomi once again leans too cool, while the other three handle the color temperature more accurately. Oppo also looks a bit blurry here. For warm indoor lighting, macro shots tend to look better. For the high-resolution crop test, Oppo and Vivo do well, but Xiaomi appears softer. In another close detail comparison, all four are similar, though Xiaomi is still slightly behind. Now, let's move to telephoto. All four can shoot at telephoto distances, but Xiaomi shows the least noticeable effect, and Oppo has the strongest. That's because Oppo can focus as close as 10 centimeters, Vivo at around 15 centimeters, and Xiaomi at roughly 25 centimeters. So for macro-style telephoto shots, Xiaomi clearly falls short compared to the others. Telephoto is also great for capturing some small animals. In these small subject shots, all four look pretty similar. But when you zoom in on detail, Vivo captures fur in the most natural way. Honor is the sharpest, but the fur can look unnaturally crisp. Oppo's clarity is decent, though the image quality feels a bit rough. Xiaomi again looks a little soft, and crucially, Xiaomi lacks a proper mid-range focal length, so its telephoto shots just don't have the same flexibility. Alright, let's start comparing these four phones directly. When it comes to overall clarity, all of them deliver solid performance, and at first glance, Xiaomi doesn't fall behind. But once we switch to a scene with heavier detail, Xiaomi's weaknesses start showing. The other three phones, all equipped with periscope telephoto lenses, clearly pull ahead. In low-light shots, Xiaomi's disadvantage becomes even more obvious. Vivo boosts the sharpness slightly, Oppo struggles with crispness, and Honor ends up performing the strongest. When we move into mid-range zoom, even with Xiaomi's periscope lens activated, its clarity still can't match the other three. The same story continues at night. Xiaomi's telephoto results consistently look soft, and Oppo's processing seems inconsistent. Some areas are sharp while others are noticeably blurred. Vivo stays reliable, but Honor remains the top performer here. Whether we talk about image quality or sharpness, Xiaomi can't blame this on center focusing, because the edges aren't sharp either. Even at 10x zoom, Xiaomi is still behind, while the other three remain close in performance. In another detailed scene, where small elements matter, Vivo takes the lead, which you can especially see in the font reproduction. Honor follows, Oppo comes in third, and Xiaomi's tiny text is barely readable. In this situation, the hardware differences in the telephoto lenses become very clear. Vivo and Honor manage to bring out those fine textures. Oppo does better than Xiaomi, while Xiaomi seems to oversmooth the details. However, Xiaomi's performance does improve a bit at 10x in night mode. The sharpness across all four phones is fairly close here, but Honor still delivers the best overall quality. At this zoom level, Honor's warm colors look the most accurate. For fine, woven textures, Vivo captures the best detail, followed by Honor, then Oppo and Xiaomi. But in the commonly tested Iron Man shot, Oppo consistently struggled with clarity. It honestly looked even softer than Xiaomi at times, likely an algorithm issue. After the software update on the 20th, the clarity did get better, but the over-sharpening was still heavy, and the overall quality remained somewhat lacking, even when using master mode. In this specific shot, Honor actually outperformed Vivo with even finer detail, showing that Honor's algorithms have finally matured. At around 30x zoom, Vivo still handles text the best, while Honor isn't far behind. Oppo and Xiaomi both start to show slight distortions, and you can see the same problem in another 30x example. Vivo remains the cleanest and sharpest, while Oppo and Honor hold up reasonably well. Xiaomi struggles the most. At 30x in nighttime scenes, the difference in clarity isn't massive, but when you zoom into the details, Honor stands out. Honor's night processing is impressive. It keeps up with Vivo in sharpness, but offers better overall image quality. Oppo seems to have trouble here, while Xiaomi's processing becomes overly aggressive. At 50x, Honor clearly performs the best of the four. Vivo still looks good, but its detail can't match Honor's. The other two are simply limited by hardware at this point, and the images show noticeable softness. In this specific test, Vivo and Honor each have their strong points, while Oppo and Xiaomi fall behind in fine detail. In the 50x night shot, Vivo actually comes out on top, followed by Honor. Oppo's quality is passable but blurry, and Xiaomi lacks both detail and refinement. Next, let's move on to their 100x zoom capabilities. It's obvious that all brands have improved their algorithms this year. None of them overly draw or artificially reconstruct the image like they used to. Oppo, Vivo, and Honor each maintain their own processing style, but the results still make sense visually. Honor's progress is especially impressive, while Xiaomi continues to trail. In the surveillance camera test, Honor delivers the strongest performance, with Oppo also showing good detail. Vivo's smoothing is a little too aggressive here, which softens the image more than necessary. Xiaomi, once again, looks a bit blurry. Now that we've covered their regular images, let's look at high-resolution modes. Oppo, Vivo, and Honor all offer a 200-megapixel telephoto mode, while Xiaomi tops out at 50 megapixels. Because of the different focal lengths, the framing isn't identical even when shooting from the same spot. Still, all four handle details well in this mode. Indoors, too, all four produce very clear results. Moving on to portrait mode, starting with telephoto portraits. At first glance, all four phones produce decent results. Personally, I think Vivo's portrait effect looks the best. Oppo's version looks the closest to my real appearance, but since I use beauty mode anyway, of course I want to look a little prettier. Honor's portrait makes my face too flat and removes too much depth, giving me a bit of a pancake face. Xiaomi tries to give me a single eyelid look, but after suppressing my shadows, it enlarges my eyes, and the whole effect ends up looking slightly distorted. In another portrait test focusing on cutout quality, Honor really struggles with hair separation. Among the rest, Vivo performs the best, followed by Oppo. Xiaomi manages to keep some strands intact. It's clear that OV's portrait performance remains strong this year. Vivo enhances beauty in a flattering way, while Oppo keeps things more natural but still polished. Honor has made major improvements over last year's dark, high-contrast look and is much better overall. Xiaomi, though, is still inconsistent. Sometimes the results are good, sometimes only average. At 2x portrait mode, there isn't a huge difference, mostly just variations in style. Honor has also taken a big step forward in night portraits. The gap between Vivo and the other three shrinks a lot here, though Xiaomi tends to make faces look overly pale. Surprisingly, Xiaomi's cutout algorithm actually performs the best in strong backlighting, while the other three struggle a bit. Among the four, Oppo is the only brand offering a wide range of shooting modes, so its performance deserves some separate discussion, because the differences can be quite large. So Oppo gives you several shooting modes: the regular mode, Hasselblad HD, the new Master Mode, and Master Mode JPG Max. When you zoom in and really study the differences, the gap in detail becomes pretty obvious. In terms of sharpness, Lumo Mode JPG Max pulls ahead, Hasselblad HD comes next, and Standard Mode follows behind. Master Mode actually offers the least detail of them all. Hasselblad HD is basically a higher resolution 50 megapixel version of the Standard Mode, while Lumo Mode JPG Max is the 50 megapixel upgrade of Lumo Mode JPG. Personally, for everyday casual shots, I'd stick to Standard Mode. But whenever you want the best quality, make sure to switch on Lumo Mode JPG Max. From the samples, you can see that Master Mode JPG Max with no sharpening applied nails the colors beautifully and still manages sharpness close to Hasselblad HD. The results look excellent, but there's a catch. Aside from the Standard Mode, the other modes are limited in zoom range. Hasselblad HD caps out at 3x, while the two Master Mode options stop at 10x. So here's a thought. Oppo's long list of shooting modes might be confusing for a lot of users. Why not merge Normal Mode, Master Mode, and Master Mode JPG Max into one improved Normal Mode? In that unified mode, you could simply switch between Vibrant Color and Master Color. Vibrant Color would keep the current lively tones and strong sharpening from the Normal Mode, perfect for people who want crisp, colorful images. Master Color could handle the full focal range, from ultra-wide all the way to 100x, while keeping Master Mode's subtle tonality and minimal sharpening. We're recording with the main cameras of all four phones at 4K 60 FPS. You've probably seen this alley countless times already. Let's do a simple walking test so you can see how stable each phone is. And if we jog a little, you can really see the stabilization difference. Now all four are switched to their ultra-wide lenses. Same thing. Let's walk first. Sadly, today isn't sunny. It rained earlier, so the sky looks a bit dull. All right, now let's run and check their stabilization again. Next, let's compare their telephoto performance. We'll walk a bit to see how stable they are. This spot under the roof is darker, so watch how they handle the lighting. And right here is an LED display panel. Now we're recording nighttime footage with all four phones. This corridor is extremely dark. It's that same familiar alley again. We're running now. Okay, now we're using their ultra-wide lenses. After all of that, I think you can clearly see how different these four phones perform. Sometimes it's not just about having the best hardware, but hardware absolutely sets the upper limit of what you can achieve. Vivo and Honor both have very strong telephoto systems this year. Honor, in particular, really surprised me. No wonder that executive was so confident. Their algorithms genuinely improved a lot. Vivo stays incredibly consistent with a very strong overall performance. Oppo, on the other hand, falls slightly behind in telephoto specs this year, and the bigger issue is the software processing. Of course, OTA updates can always fix that later. I want to mention this again. If you bought the Honor model early, you already got the updated firmware first. I received the official release software immediately after unboxing it yesterday. These days, because phones launch early and people buy them early, if they notice issues in the first week, it can really damage a brand's reputation. So I personally think if companies insist on releasing devices early, they should at least make sure the firmware updates roll out as soon as customers actually get the phone in their hands. As for Xiaomi, the hardware simply isn't on the same level, and the results are, honestly, disappointing. Even with the Max label, it struggles compared to the other three. I've already talked a lot about this Xiaomi model in previous videos, so I won't repeat myself here. Those who like it still love it, and its sales speak for that. All right, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and follow. I'll be doing a comparison of the standard versions next, so if you're interested, make sure you stick around. See you next time. Bye.